We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
Nosotros crecemos cuando damos.
We grow when we give.
与えるとき成長する。
We grow when we give.
Welcome to ROG Return on Generosity, a podcast celebrating generosity at work. Not financial giving, giving valuable time, alternative perspectives, and genuine collaboration. Welcome back to ROG Return on Generosity podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Cassidy. And today I'm excited to introduce to you Yvette Thornton, a registered patent agent and driving force behind Clark Innovation LLC. Yvette advises organizations on innovation strategies, operational improvements, intellectual property, focusing on expanding access to patenting and fostering innovation-driven cultures. And she does it beautifully. Before founding Clark Innovations, Yvette led as the Director of Patent Development at Comcast NBC Universal, where she helped capture groundbreaking innovations, launched an employee recognition program, and created Girl Storm, empowering women in patenting. Yvette began her IP career as a primary patent examiner at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Amazing background, and holds degrees from the University of Virginia and Norfolk State University. I even said it correctly, right,
Yes,
Yvette?
Yes. I appreciate that.
I practiced. Beyond her professional work, she's an advocate for the National Down Syndrome Society and an amazing leader at the WICT Network, Greater Philadelphia. In her leadership, and she may not tell you this herself, but I have to brag on her a little bit, she has the WICT Network President of the Year Award in 2023.
Yeah.
And the Greater Philadelphia chapter was named Chapter of the Year both in 2023 and 2024. Today, Yvette joins us to share her journey, her passion for innovation, and how she's opening doors for the next generation of creators. What I appreciate most about you, Yvette, and I could go on and on about this, is your passion for helping other people. Like, you genuinely, deeply want to raise you are the tide that raises all the boats. And I just also love your sense of humor and your contagious laugh. So welcome to ROG.
Thank you for having me. That was lovely. Thank you for that great introduction. It's kind of hard to hear that coming out on paper. Like, you write the bio and you put it out there, but to have it read while you sit here and listen is a whole different vibe. So
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Well, and also thank you for accepting that. I think it is hard to hear, and I appreciate that you were open to receiving. So I adore you. Curious to know, where'd you come from? Like, how did we get to have you?
I grew up in Southern Virginia, on a farm, 121 acres of land that my granddaddy bought while sharecropping and farming. My dad is one of 7, and all of his brothers and sisters lived on the farm in a row. So I grew up with my grandparents and all of my cousins. And
Oh my gosh.
I am number 5 of 6. And so there are about 3 or 4 generations of grandkids. And it was an upbringing that sort of grounded me. And it's the source of who I am and what I am. And even now, if, things get kind of rough, I go home to the farm and, just put my bare feet on the ground and kind of, level sets me for who I am and remembers who I am and what I am.
Who else still lives there?
My mom still lives there. My brother and his wife live there. And growing up, I only have one aunt and one uncle remaining. They're still there. And a couple of cousins are still on their family property. But so we're still there, and we plan to stay there. I'm planning to build a tiny house compound. That's my retirement plan.
Yes. Oh my gosh, save me one. What is the name of the farm?
Smithfield. It was in Smithfield, Virginia. We didn't ever give it a name. I think if we had to give it a name, it would be 24 roosters, 24 acres and a rooster. My granddad wrote a poem many years ago, and it was named 24 acres and a rooster. And the refrain was 24 acres and a rooster, and I'll live better than I used to. So his whole thing of success was just give him enough land and a rooster enough to produce like not only resources for his family, but food for his family and provide for
Mm-hmm.
his family. And that was his goal. And, he ended up with 121 acres. So,
Amazing.
surpassed that goal.
Multiply.
So, that kind of, again, shows you what the upbringing was, is that,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard work. It's, providing, it's giving back, it's
Mm-hmm.
family first. Um, it's, connecting with the earth, connecting with the higher power.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Is there a early memory that you have of life on the farm?
Oh, all the memories. It was a pig farm, and we also had corn and soybean and peanuts. But because we lived in Smithfield, Virginia. I don't know if you're familiar with Smithfield hams and Gortney
Mm-hmm.
bacon, and that's our
Mm-hmm.
little town. But some of the hogs we would sell to the packing plant, and then some we would slaughter for the family. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a family event, right? So we would all get together, and my job was to carry the bucket. Where my grandma would make sausage
Yeah.
in the house. She's making sausages, and I had to carry the bucket. And those are good memories for me. I know it may sound gruesome, but those were good memories because it was a time when everybody came together for one task. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
had a role in the greater process. Everybody had a
Mm-hmm.
job, no matter how old you were. And at the end of the harvest, harvest season, we would celebrate, and it would
Yeah.
be, food upon food upon food upon family, and it was just a time of coming together and sort of community and
Mm,
investing in each other again for the greater good and connecting, sort of that collaboration. That's where you get that collaborative spirit, right? Is
definitely.
coming together to help each other for common good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I can envision it in my mind. So how has that influenced your leadership?
I think again, it's just, I think my granddad was very instrumental in believing that everybody had a place, right? No
Mhm.
matter how big or small, but everybody has value to give and value to add.
Mhm.
Even the little ones can carry a bucket, right? Like, um, and I think that has helped me see that everybody, no matter what your skill set, no matter what your experience, you have value. Everybody has value to the bigger picture,
Mhm.
to the bigger process, and then to just tap into everybody's strengths. I think has totally affected my leadership. Is what is your strength? What do you have to offer? What do you have
Mhm.
to give? And then highlighting that for where you are in the moment.
Oh my gosh, so spot on. What a great reminder for all of us.
Yeah,
And
and
as we're
that
looking across our teams and our families and our communities, like, how can we create an environment where everybody has a place, a role? Like we all want to have a role.
right.
And then the
I
way
feel
I
valued. Yeah,
Yeah, and that you're valued, and, like, when you talked about how, like, there's a celebration at the end, right?
yeah,
Like, we're doing all this, and then we celebrate. So, let's just stay with that for a minute because I do wanna learn more about IP and, patenting and all that and wonderful work that you do. But just thinking about, like, the WICT Greater Philadelphia chapter
mhm,
and your recent successes, and, I know you as a leader too, that you do create spaces where people can thrive, and
yeah.
so tell me a little bit about that dynamic and how does that group work
So
together?
what I love about WICT is that the mission is to develop women leaders who transform the industry, right? So everything that we do is mission driven. Everything that we offer, whether it's a position on the board or a programming event or mentorship, it is to develop women leaders. And
Mhm,
so, even though as part of the board, even though you're there to serve in a capacity of leadership, it is also an opportunity to develop you as a leader, right? To develop
mhm,
you as a skill set. And not
right.
everybody is, and the great thing about it is that we tell people who join the board, this is your opportunity to stretch your wings and fail in a safe place. We won't let you fall, but,
Yeah,
go out there and fly and soar. It's an opportunity to try new things. Maybe you try and you're not good at it. You don't like it. Okay, great. Wonderful. Try something else. Do something else. But it's not a place where we're going to let you fail because it's 40 other people that's going to pick you up and support you. But
mhm,
step outside your comfort zone and develop a skill or try a skill that you never tried before and develop a muscle that you've never flexed before. And so sometimes, people think, okay, I want to do programming. Um, and they, get in and they're like, wait, this may not be the thing for me. Right.
I wanna stretch, but not that much.
Right.
Yeah,
And And that's okay. But because
Yeah.
now you've tried it in a safe place, like you're not trying it where, a company is depending on you to
Right.
deliver a product. You're trying it
Mm-hmm.
in a place where we fail fast and pivot quickly.
Sure.
So, okay, this is not your strong suit. How can we help you improve it? And then,
Mm-hmm.
what feedback can we give to help you get there? What resources can we provide to help you get where you want to be?
Yeah.
And I think that's something, because of people's day jobs, is not necessarily accessible, right? We all want to do that, but in the big scheme of things, businesses have to run, right? Products have to
Mm-hmm.
be delivered. So we don't necessarily have the opportunity to develop leaders that way,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I love volunteer boards and opportunities to go out and like just try new things and learn from the people around you.
Ah, that's so incredible. And what an awesome opportunity for people to grow and thrive in a safe place, like you said. Tell me a little bit about the National Down Syndrome Society.
So my baby girl, she's 15. She has Down syndrome, and we didn't know about her diagnosis. She kept it a big secret until after she was born. And so it's something that I'm passionate about, because I, not just for her, but for all of my children, my expectation is the same, right? Regardless of their ability. But especially for her, is that, her ability is very well seen in her face, right? You can look at her and there are expectations. Um, so I want to make sure that she's supported in how to advocate for herself. Not only
Mhm.
that, but teaching people that, the way it's just another adjective that describes her. It's not who she is.
Right.
And so that's why I support the National Down Syndrome Society, and in support of her and people who are like her. But
Mm-hmm.
not only that, for just making this world a better place for all of us. Because I think, when we provide for the least of us, we make the world better for the most of us.
Absolutely. That's so true. So, for those who don't have a family member with Down syndrome or someone close in their lives, what is something that you could teach us about individuals who have Down syndrome?
People think the stereotype is that they're always happy. They are not. My daughter is not a morning person like me. So mornings are very challenging. But I think the greatest thing is that they're more alike than different. That's one of the taglines. We're more alike than different. And that the ability is there. There are people with Down syndrome who are lawyers. There are people with Down syndrome who are teachers. The ability is they're capable, just
Mm-hmm.
maybe at a slower pace. But aren't we
Mm-hmm.
all? We all
Yeah.
learn and develop at our own pace. And so do people with Down syndrome. It's not a game breaker. It's just a game changer.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait. I used to tell people that my two oldest children would change the world, and then Maya is going to turn it upside down. So, and that's exactly what's going
Yes. Oh my gosh. Any chance she's named after Dr. Maya Angelou?
her father would say no, and I would say yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
I mean, you're right, because she turned the world upside down too.
Absolutely. And what greater spirit than that, like,
Oh,
I mean, I know you've read, Why the Cage Bird Sings, but
yeah.
just that whole, like, her journey, right? It's sort of kind of the journey of a person with any sort of different ability, is,
Mm-hmm.
finding out who you are and why you do what you do, and what are the restrictions and what are the empowerments, and then how to gain strength in that voice and then amplify
Yeah.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Oh my gosh. So please tell us about, well, let's start with IP,
Okay.
intellectual
Property.
property.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll start with that and then we'll go to patents.
So, well, mostly deal with patents within intellectual property. Intellectual property is, patents, copyrights, trademarks, anything that protects your things that you've created,
Mm-hmm.
whether intellectually or by design, drawings, works of art, inventions. Everything is intellectual property. I mostly
Okay.
deal with patents, which is what I like to call as the nouns and the verbs. So the things that you make and how you use them, and getting a monopoly protection for them for 20 years. In exchange for a monopoly to have ownership of this for 20 years, you teach the world how to make and use it, right? So
Amazing.
that is the fundamental basis of a patent. And what is great about patents, I think, is that it doesn't have to be you're not that caveman in the cave where you're rubbing the sticks together and you create fire. It's not that, right? Fire's already been created. But if you think of a new way to use fire, you can get a patent on that. So it's just the little increments, the little tweaks, the little things that make things a game changer. And that
Yeah.
little nugget is what you can patent. And I think I really get excited about people who think differently like that. They
Oh,
take four random things, put it together, and make something phenomenal. And I just really think people who think outside the box are just, they're
incredible.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. These are the things that you look at and you like. I love your Instagram because you put it in little package form for us, like, oh, like these aha moments. But like, what got you into it? What got you into this line of work?
It was interesting. It's I was in graduate school and deciding whether to go, get my master's or continue for the PhD. So decided like, who needs a PhD in chemistry? Not me. So I went to a job fair and dropped random resumes in buckets. I'm showing my age now, right?
Mhm.
Dropping my resume in buckets. But then simultaneously went to a SWE conference, Society of Women Engineers.
Okay.
And this lady got up and talked about her job. And she was like, this is my dream job. She said, I work from home. I wear my slippers all day and I get to work with fascinating people. She was a patent agent. And I remember vividly, I can't remember the name of the lady. I wish I could remember her name. But I turned to my colleague and I said, I want that job.
Mhm.
And I was like, that would be my dream job.
Yeah.
Spin ahead randomly a couple of months. Girl next door in the lab next door, she said, hey, I got a call from the patent office. They're hiring. Do you want me to tell them about you? I'm like, absolutely.
Yes, please.
So I get a call from her. She was like, actually, when the other lady mentioned your name, I have your resume on my desk. I was going to call you. And I was like, really? Like, so
Yeah.
a phone call with this lovely lady, Janet Baxter, who is fantastic and phenomenal. And she offered me a job. She's like, end of August, please come to DC area. And I never forget, I told my dad, I got this job. And he was like, it's not real. Do not move to.
Why did he think it was real?
Because I didn't go there in person. Like there was no in-person
Okay,
interview.
yeah,
This was,
yeah.
back.
You didn't shake somebody's hand yet.
Right. He was like,
Yeah.
no, like this is
Mhm.
not how life works.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, it's Northern
Maybe
Virginia,
it does.
DC. If it falls through, it's Northern Virginia,
I'll be
DC. I'll
back.
find something else.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it was real. And I was there for 7 years, and it was fantastic. And she was a really great leader too, because she was the kind of person. And they back then you had 2 weeks of training. That's it, and then they dropped you in the deep end.
Yeah.
But she was very much like, this is the manual. As long as you go by the manual and you have a justification for what you're doing,
Yeah.
lawyers can argue about it all day. As long as you lead with the facts,
Mhm.
read on the statute, then you're good. And she gave us that grace to figure that out of how
Amazing.
to navigate those waters and how to make a argument for what you're doing and have the proof to back it up. Like,
Mm,
and that's a life lesson, right? Like,
I love that. That's
stand on,
generous leadership, right? Like giving
absolutely.
people the tools and the guardrails, but then giving them
Mhm.
the empowerment to
And
go and
grace to learn, right?
learn.
Like,
Grace to
yeah.
learn. Yeah. Like
Mhm.
didn't expect you to do it perfectly.
No.
Knew you were going to make mistakes, but was
As
there
long
to
as you have a reason for that justification, and you can say, well, this is how I interpret the statute, this is how I
Mhm.
interpret the law, and then that's how I applied it, and then
Mhm.
being very clear in that explanation, and that's all you can do.
And I don't know if you're like allowed to talk about some of the things that you patented in your time there, but are there any and can you talk about them?
I probably
I
could
know
talk about it. It's been
I
a
know
really
there's a
long
lot of
time.
them, but yeah.
um, but it's probably nothing that you could see on a shelf. I did
Okay.
photoresist compositions, which is just things that they used to make printing plates. So very, very much into the body of the industry, nothing that you could see on the shelf.
Like for
Um,
a newspaper or book or something like that?
no, for like semiconductors and
Oh,
mhm.
oh.
like
Yeah.
yeah, those kind of printing plates,
Those
like
kind of printing
yeah,
plates.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep,
Oh, interesting.
in the body of nanotechnology and that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so very very much in the weeds. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't tell you my favorite invention coming out of Comcast.
Please, yes. Coming out of
So
Comcast. Let's
yeah,
go.
and I will say that there are many patents that are affected, but one my favorite journey is I remember being in a room with an engineer and he was talking about talking to your remote control and he was whiteboarding it. And I remember turning to my colleague and she was going to kill me, but I was like, this is interesting. And she was like, nobody wants to talk to the remote control. Nobody wants to talk to their TV. Fast forward, everybody talks to their
Everybody
TV.
does. Yeah.
And you can't imagine life any other way. But to see just from, you know, it being a whiteboard idea to being
Mm-hmm.
something that everybody uses, not just within
Amazing.
Xfinity, but everybody, right, uses.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking to their television. And it's just a phenomenal experience to be just a little part of that journey,
Yeah.
and watch that play out. It's just a fascinating for me.
Fascinating. So, what would you say is a characteristic that you have that enables you to hear something like that and be in a room where somebody's on a dry erase board talking about something that seems like totally impractical or impossible, and then taking
Hmm.
it to the point where they have now a patent for that?
That's an interesting. I don't know if it's a. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think listening is a good skill for that.
Mhm.
I would say I'm a good listener. I don't know if I am.
I think you are.
Um, but listening to people and allowing them to talk and asking the right questions to
Mm.
get to a place. Like one of the and I think some of the engineers used to get frustrated with me because I would be like, well, how's that different than
Hmm. Hmm.
X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z? And they were like, it's the same. And I'm like, oh, if it's the same, then we don't need a patent on it because it exists. So tell me how it's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's an important question.
the difference is what we can get a patent on, right?
Hmm.
So tell me how it's different. And
Yeah.
I think it's a mind shift, right?
Hmm.
Because we're so in a competitive environment, we want to we want to do things that are similar to what's new and happening and trending. But if we think about, well, how is it different
Yeah.
than what people are doing, then that's what we can kind of separate
Hmm.
ourselves from the masses on.
Mm.
Is how are you doing that different? Like, how are you going to stand out in the crowd?
Totally. So, ideal job for you, like if you were thinking about how you could deploy some of the incredible talent and experience that you have,
Mhm.
what would that look like?
That's a hard question for me to answer too, because I think because my job at Comcast was my ideal job. So if I could recreate that in a way, it would be working with smart people, doing incredible things, and then helping them not only to do it in an effective and efficient manner, but making it easier and better for them.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a process and optimizing it, doing the analysis around it to see what are the flaws, what are the hiccups, what's the restrictions, and how can we make that better. I think that would
Mm-hmm.
be my ideal job.
Ideal job, yeah, because you also have experience with project management,
Yeah. And
which is
building,
handy.
establishing a product
Yeah,
and
right.
and being on budget. Yeah.
On budget, on time, like I think it goes back to what you're saying. It kind of goes back to the farm where like everybody's got a role. You
Yep.
have a thing, like you have a season or you have a deadline,
Yeah.
and then you're all coming together for an outcome.
The greater
And
good.
so
Yeah.
like the collaboration side of you combined with the project management, how to get things done on or under budget and on time. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a helpful
It is a very
combo.
helpful thing. Yeah. And I think sometimes it is, it changes in what you call it. Right? It could be project management, it could be business development, it could be patent development, but the
Sure.
skills are still the same, right? You
Mm-hmm.
take a problem and you find a solution and you manage that from end to end and you do
Mm-hmm.
it efficiently and optimize it and you do it well and you do it on time and under budget.
Excellent. So, for those who are listening who have a brilliant idea, an innovation, a something, like what coaching and advice do you have for them?
talk it out. Talk to someone who is a little bit removed from it, and then have them ask you the question of how is this different, and if it is something different, then you should probably seek patent protection on it. Now, if it's really, really, really different, and you don't think anybody can do it the way you do it or figure out how you're doing it, then it might be better to be kept as a trade secret.
So an expert would know where
Yes.
you're at in that process.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
okay.
Because again, I think the most famous trade secret is the Coca-Cola recipe, right? Nobody knows it. Nobody can hack it. Like people, they say, RC Cola and Pepsi is close, but it's different. And nobody knows what the secret sauce is. So like sometimes if you think you have a secret sauce, then again, with patents, you teach the world how to make and use it, right? But a trade secret, as long as it's a secret, is your secret, your intellectual property.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
And knowing the difference. And I just think it's a great combination for you of the like engineering, innovation, like technology part of your brain and like the people part, right? You have this.
I'm sort of like a translator, right? I take the technical and translate it into not even the legalese, but into the layman's terms, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah. Like what will this look like? And what is the process for us to get this thing to the finish line?
And again, knowing what the landscape of the industry is, and knowing that nobody else is doing it this way, or nobody, has figured out this little tweak.
Yeah.
And I think that's just comes from experience and exposure to different, being aware of what's happening in the industry and emerging technologies and who the players are in the game.
Yeah. So rough estimate of like how many patents are there, and is it by country?
There are patents by country, each country, and I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think we're up to like 10 million in the US. Don't quote me on that because I'm totally like spacing. But yes, every country has its own patent system.
Okay.
At where I was previous to Comcast, we have patents in 26 countries, and they're international patents through the Paris Corporation Treaty. So there is, you not only need to think about what you need to patent in the US, but where your competitors are.
Where you're going to distribute. It's where your competitors are is what you have to be thinking about.
The point of a patent is to stop other people from doing what you're doing, right? It doesn't give you permission to do it. It gives you the ability to prohibit other people from doing it.
Okay.
So if your competitor is in Mexico, you want to say, no, you can't produce my product in Mexico. So you would need a Mexican patent.
Okay. Excellent. So helpful. So thinking about generosity and the return on generosity, what are examples in your own life, either generosity given to you or you to others, that you could share with us?
I think throughout this whole, transition journey that I've been on for the last 2 years, the generosity of people has been amazing to me. I mean, you come to the forefront of that, right? Just the ability to take time to talk to me, to have a coffee with me, to give me insight, to give me perspective, to kind of say, these are your transferable skills, and this is what I see for you, and this is how you can apply those things, has been amazing. And I'm grateful for that generosity doesn't come where you expect it. You expect your friends to be generous, right? You expect your former coworkers to be generous, but you don't expect that third connection to be generous, right? And it's fascinating because, the people who show up for you, are people you haven't talked to in 20 years. And they reach out and say, hey, I saw this and I thought of you. Like, I have been so blessed and I'm so grateful for just the people who have taken time for me. It blows my mind.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think it's a ripple effect, because it's like, you don't think that you are the reason why people want to give back, because you just think it's out of their own goodness. But if like you really look at the meta picture of it, it's your contribution to a group or an individual or a chapter or whatever. And it's like a lasting memory. Like people have an impression and it's a great one, and they just want to do whatever they can do for you because they
Even,
love you. Right.
yeah,
And I think it's
even if
because of
it's
you.
just,
Right.
yeah,
Like, I think
I
it's
guess
so
that's
funny that
true,
we always think
right?
it's the other person.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And I think there are people who are just generous by nature, and I think you're one of those people that is just part of your DNA. Um, and I think it's a little bit a part of my DNA too, because you don't
Mhm.
think about um, what you're doing; you just do it,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I had one person was like, "Stop helping people and help yourself for a minute," and I was like, but I am helping myself, right? Because
Yeah.
it makes me feel valuable and productive, and
Mhm.
it gives me joy to provide even a little bit of help to someone else.
Totally.
Even if it's just a conversation to just to talk about the intellectual property process and what's the
Mhm.
difference between a patent and a trademark and what do you need. That's just um it's just you need the information and I have it to give. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And you
um
right, and it brings you joy because it's an expertise that you have and it's a need that other people have. So like whenever we have those combinations of things,
and I get
right?
geeked out about it. I get, you know what I mean? Like I get
Totally.
totally geeked about talking about this stuff and working with smart people and seeing how people's brains work. So it's not like I'm like, doing myself a disservice. And no, I'm getting like
Yeah.
just, endorphin
Yeah.
high.
Right. It's
Like,
exactly. It's energizing.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
purposeful. I love that. So we've been talking about your transition and like where you're at right now professionally.
yeah.
Could you talk to our listeners who are also in transition and even explaining what you mean by that?
Yeah. So at the end of 2022, my department was eliminated from Comcast for restructuring. And so I've been on this journey of what's next for me as far as career wise. And I call it a transition because I don't think I'm unemployed because I have been working, I have been giving back, I have been providing value, I have been expanding my skill set, I've been leading the WICT board, I've been taking classes, I've been developing myself as a leader and as a person, as an employee, as a mom, as a human. So I am in transition from that role to the next role. And if we think about a period of transition is when we go through something, right, to change or evolve and to make ourselves better. And that's what I've been doing. I've been not just trying to figure out what I want to do next, but trying to figure out what I don't want to do. And
Mhm.
trying to figure out who I am as a creator, as a provider, and knowing, and I think at this age in my life, I'm more comfortable in saying I am very good at this, right? And I don't
Mhm.
think that's a skill. And you see some of these younger women coming out of college, and they're so self assured. And I was like, I so wish I had that muscle.
Then yeah.
But it has taken me this long to get there to say, and I think a little bit of it too is growing up in the South where, children are supposed to be seen and not heard. And, you're supposed to be very humble.
Mhm.
It's taken some time to say, I am very good at this. And this is my superpower. And this is my strength. And
Yeah.
then figuring out how to leverage that strength and make it profitable for me and my family. Right.
Mhm.
So I can say that my superpower is relationship building. My superpower is translating technical into layman's terms. My superpower is being authentic and empathetic. And I think that's what makes me a good leader. And I'm very uncomfortable saying that, but I'm
Mhm.
getting used to being uncomfortable.
Yes. Oh, well, you said it beautifully, and I love it. I just for to hear you declaring that, knowing that those are true, and then there's other superpowers on that list, but those were some that came to your mind. It's just a good practice,
It
for all of
is.
us leaders. To when we look in the mirror, what do we say? And very often those things are not kind or accurate. So for us to be more intentional about speaking the truth to ourselves, the way you would to a friend or a colleague
Mhm.
or a direct report or whomever, I think that's important. So for all of us
Absolutely.
listening, like how can we own our talents and strengths, right? Because we don't get all of them, but we do have
Exactly.
a couple of them.
Yeah.
And how are we leveraging those for the greater good
Yep.
in a way that's really fulfilling for us?
Absolutely.
And
And so I took your advice the other day, and I think when we were talking the other day, you told me, to develop a social media campaign for your
mhm.
job
Oh,
search.
good.
And then, so I had been hesitant to kind of do that, hey, I'm looking post, right? But I
Yeah.
did it. Um, And it was phenomenal. And then I followed up with an achievement post, right? Which was also, and when I say it was phenomenal, it's not only generated leads for opportunities, but just the people saying, I have patents because of you. Thank you. Or the process was easy for me because of what you did. Thank you. Like just that
Yeah.
alone was validating and was confirmation that I didn't just make this up, that I did it well. Right. Like,
I'm not just,
I'm just not, I'm
yeah.
not delusional.
Hmm.
I changed, I touched people, I helped people. I was instrumental in building something that was essential to the company. And, because that function doesn't exist anymore, doesn't mean that I didn't do it and didn't do it well.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so thank you for that advice. And
Oh, without a doubt. And thank you for having the courage to do it. Cause that's bold. When you hit,
yep.
send or whatever, it's like that.
Because it comes with a little bit of when you get laid off, and I don't know if you've ever been through a layoff, but it comes with so much self-doubt and so much embarrassment. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't get fired. I didn't get booted out on the street. I didn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't about anything that I did wrong,
Yeah.
but it felt like such an embarrassing place to be.
Hmm.
Um, that is, I mean, who do you talk to about that? Because again,
Right.
you're out here trying to look for a job. You're trying to put your best foot forward. You don't want to
Hmm.
say, but on the other side. And
Yeah.
then, it's been um it's been 2 years, over 2 years. And while I've done great things in that process,
Hmm.
again, it's like, why is it 2 years? I'm still
Why?
looking. And
Yes.
so then
Yes.
you begin to doubt yourself and you begin to
Hmm.
question your abilities and you begin to forget who you are, right?
Hmm.
And whose you are.
Whose you
Um,
are. Yeah.
and then so you have to regroup.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I've learned is that you need time. It's like the loss of a job is like the loss of anything else. It's grief. You have to grieve the loss,
Yeah.
and you have to give yourself time to feel what you're feeling, but set a time limit on it.
Hmm.
And when the timer goes off, get yourself together
Okay.
and get moving. You
Like
know,
a daily timer?
yeah.
Is that
If
what you
you
mean?
need it,
If you need
I'm
it.
gonna have a
Yeah.
pity party for. And sometimes it's all day, right? It's Saturday. I'm going to have a pity party today. I'm going to sit on the couch. I'm going to watch Hallmark movies. I'm going to cry. I'm going to eat chocolate. But after today,
I'm back at
tomorrow,
it.
I'm going to get
Yeah.
off the sofa. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to come up with a plan. I'm going to reach
Hmm.
out to X, Y, Z people. I'm going to do the things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's 10 minutes. I'm going to have a pity party for 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes over. Get it together, Yvette. Let's go out and do something
Hmm.
different.
Yep. Yeah, that's helpful. So for those listening who are going through a transition themselves, those are some good pieces of advice. Anything else you would recommend?
Reach out, ask for help. My grandma used to say, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So, if you don't ask, and you might not be ready for the public LinkedIn post, right? But call your coworkers, call your network, reach out and tell people that you need help. And
Yeah.
if it's not a resume, it's just, I need to talk to you for 5 minutes to
Hmm.
level set. I need you to tell me what I was good at. I need you to tell me how you see me as a professional.
Yeah.
It could be just the least of those things, but
Hmm.
again, don't get lost in the grief or in the loss, but raise your hand and ask for help.
Mm, brilliant. So good and so hard. So
So hard.
really, I just
So
applaud
hard.
you for all the ways that you continue to grow and invest in yourself and other people because like that's your fuel. Like
Yeah,
giving is your fuel. So you're still doing that while you're now like learning how to give to yourself too.
absolutely. No,
And so
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. And asking for help. It's like it's just an obvious one but a hard one and
that's
most of us
hard.
don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
especially, women, it's
mhm.
hard because
Yeah.
it feels like weakness, right?
Mhm. Yep.
It feels like giving in. Like you're
Mhm.
supposed to be this strong woman and you're supposed to be, rock star all the time.
Yeah.
But you're not.
And you're
What
like,
makes
I'm
a
a
rock star?
human.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's a community journey. thing that we're doing called life. Like we must do it together, right? Like
Absolutely.
they always say, if you want to go quicker, go alone. If you want to go further, go together,
Yeah.
right? So it's like us doing this together. It's going to get
Takes
us
us far. And it's
where
enough
we
for,
want to.
for all of us to be successful, right?
Yeah.
There
Oh,
are
without
millions
a
and
doubt.
millions of stars out there.
Yeah,
It's enough for all of us to have a little piece of a
for
star.
sure. Yeah, abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
ready for some rapid fire,
I'm
Yvette?
ready.
Yay! All right. I know, like you're so good on your feet. I was like,
No, I don't know about
they're
that.
gonna thrive. Okay. What's one innovation that you couldn't live without?
Cell phone. I don't know how I lived without it before.
What did we do before those things?
I
I
don't
don't
think how to
even
even
know.
find people. We could never
Uh,
connect to people.
right? I know. Somehow we all showed up at a restaurant at the same time. I don't know how.
Exactly.
If you could hold a patent for any invention, past or present, what would it be?
Invisibility. I would love to be invisible. I would just, for a minute, just five
Yeah.
seconds,
Oh,
disappear.
that'd be so cool. Yeah. I mean, you just think about like, where would you go? That's a little tricky.
I know, but just like for me, it's just be like, I just need 5 minutes to myself. I don't want people to
It's like the introvert. Like, can I please just disappear
exactly just for
literally
five
for
minutes.
5 minutes?
Just
Morning person or night owl?
night owl. I hate the mornings.
Night
I'm
owl.
not good in the
Okay.
morning.
What's your favorite song?
My Girl by the Temptations. It was my dad used to sing it to me when I was little, my dad and my godfather, and we danced to it at my wedding. Yeah,
Oh.
I was his first daughter, and after four boys, and yeah, it was our song.
Oh my gosh. I am melting with that vision. You have to find a picture and send it to me.
Oh yeah, well, I don't have it in here. Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Who is a woman in STEM that inspires you?
Katherine Johnson from Hidden Figures. I think just the how her brain works and the challenges that she overcame in such a rigid environment is just fuel for all of us, especially us girls of color
Yeah.
who geek out over STEM. And then people tell us that you have to be seen and not heard, or you have to be a school teacher and you can't be other things, but you
Hmm.
really like math and science. It is just a role model that I wish I'd known about earlier in my life.
Yes. Katherine Johnson is a great one. Now that you're saying it, I'm intrigued to even learn more about her
Yeah.
because, you just wonder, like, where did that come from? Where did her
Right.
courage come
And
from?
yeah, and that bubbling up, and how was it nourished in, in
Right.
in her as a child?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. If you could give one piece of advice to a young woman or anyone entering the tech space, what would it be?
You are enough. You are enough to stand in the room that you're in. That you are enough. You're smart enough. You're brilliant enough. You're present enough. You're brave enough. You are enough to be at the table. Like stand in your grace. You got the college degree. Like you did the class
Yeah.
work. Yeah, you're there for a reason. You are enough to
Hmm.
be there. So own it.
Yes. And I love that book right behind you. I can see
Yeah.
it. I Am Enough. I love
And
that book so much. And that's great advice for them and for us. So for all of
absolutely.
us listening, looking in the mirror and
I
owning
think
that
we
I am
always
enough.
are comparing ourselves to other people. Is keeping up with the Joneses, is it? But you are enough, right? Just as you are. In this
Hmm.
moment in time, you are enough for what your calling is.
And I really think that if we believe that, Yvette, a lot of everything else would work itself out.
Absolutely.
Don't you
Absolutely.
think?
Because, we spend so much time trying to be better, stronger, faster, right?
Yeah.
But what is
Like,
right for us in the moment is we are fully equipped for.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Favorite way to recharge after a busy week?
Taking a nap. I love naps.
Yes. And are
Really.
you like a 5 minute, 30 minute, 2 hour nap? What kind of nap? Doesn't matter.
I'm getting the blankets. I'm like a
You're
solid
full
hour
on.
now. Yeah.
Oh, love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's a recharge. In one word, this is my last question. How
Okay.
would you describe your leadership style?
Empathetic. I
Yeah.
think I like to learn about people and understand where they are coming from and trying to meet them where they are.
Mm,
And trying to put myself in other people's shoes to see things from their perspective and understand. Again, everybody has different abilities, right? And it's dependent on your perspective of the picture that you're
yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
So taking a moment to realize what angle of the picture people are seeing, I think
Hmm.
goes a long way.
Oh, so brilliant. Oh, well, thank you for being you and for sharing this time with us. And I just know you are the next chapter is about to be written. And I think this chapter is profound too. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share, and thank you for just giving me the ability to reflect on that and realize that sometimes you're going through the journey, you don't see the journey.
Yeah.
But thank you for giving me the opportunity to look at it big picture and just be appreciative of the transition. And I don't know what's coming next, but I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm
Yes.
ready.
And we will celebrate.
Yes.
Oh, well, we got the right people together to celebrate for sure. Oh, I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to ROG Return on Generosity podcast. Please help us grow by subscribing and reviewing us on your favorite podcast player. And for more information, visit bridgebetween.com. We grow when we give.
우리는 나누면서 성숙합니다.
We grow when we give.
On rayonne quand on donne.
We grow when we give.